Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today for this episode of the Seal Connect webinar series. Today we have Alex Walter here from the A3J Group. And yeah, before we get started, I'm just going to give a little background on what the Seal Connect webinar is exactly. We at SEPCO launched this series to help train and educate personnel on the plant floor, distributors, equipment manufacturers, really everyone from start to finish. This monthly webinar series focuses on reliability, maintenance, and of course, proper sealing. So just like with Alex here, we invite experts from across the industry to join us each month to help ensure that all personnel have the skills they need for success in their reliability journey. I'm going to apologize in advance. I do have a sinus infection, so I'm going to talk as little as possible. Alex will do most of the talking. So yeah, today we have Alex Walter with us from the A3J Group. Alex, could you tell us just a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in this field and in reliability?
Yeah, absolutely. First, Anna and SEPCO, thank you for having me on today. Really appreciate it and looking forward to giving you guys a glimpse into what we've been working on and where we think some of the industry is going. So my name is Alex Walter. I have been working in the asset management sort of systems, CMMS, EAM type system space now since about 2004, so going on 18 years. Really have a background more in the technology related to some of these systems and how to implement them, how to do the sort of best practices, how to get the most out of them, I say would be the best way to put it. So started A3J Group back in 2016, and we've really looked to push technology in the space. So I actually had some hair on my head when I first started with Maximo and some of the EAM systems, and it's been a fun journey.
That's great. Yeah, so before we dive into the presentation, I just wanted to give a few little housekeeping tips for our attendees. So just so y'all know, you can ask questions directly to Alex through the Q&A section in the panel on the right-hand side of your screen anytime during the webinar. If it's timely or pertinent to what he's talking about in the moment, I will ask him in real time. Otherwise, we'll ask them at the end of his presentation and his live demonstration. There's also some PDFs of the webinar that you can download if you want to keep those on hand for the future. And then the webinar is also being recorded, so you will be able to access the recording of this live webinar within 24 hours after it ends this morning. It'll be emailed directly to your inbox. And the slides will be emailed with the recording as well. All right, Alex, I'm going to sign off for now, so please take it away.
You got it. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and share my screen. And should be able to see a PowerPoint presentation here. So what we're here to talk about today, and you can probably see through the camera feed as well, as I've got a device on my head here. We want to talk about how maintenance technicians can be empowered through voice activated technology. So talked a little bit about A3J Group already, but just to reaffirm here, we as A3J Group do a lot of work in and around EAM systems, both consulting and solutions provider in the EAM space. Really, our goal is to push the envelope with respect to technology and how technology can help everyone in the asset management or maintenance fields. So I'm Alex. I've got a lot of experience, obviously, working in this field, and really my role at A3J Group is to push technology. That's kind of who we are at the core, and that's my role when it comes to what we do here at A3J Group. Don't hold it against me, but I am a New York Jets fan and do a lot of work with the local Boy Scout community here in Tampa, Florida. Okay, so let's get into it. Really, how the question becomes, how do we make our mobile maintenance force as efficient as possible? So there's been a big push in the last probably 10 to 15 years, really ever since the iPhone and some of the sort of Motorola type devices became big back in the early 2000s. Since that time, there's been a big push to mobilize through technology the workforce when it comes to asset management. If you think about it, all of the technicians who do maintenance have always been mobile, except maybe in the transportation space where your equipment actually moves. Most of the time, your equipment is in a static place and your workers need to go to that equipment to perform maintenance tasks. So the use case for mobility solutions, mobile technology, has always been there since the dawn of equipment maintenance. So when some of that technology evolved and started getting into, like, phones and tablets and things of that nature, there was a big explosion in the use of it with the maintenance worker, for good reason, right? So they could actually pull up schematics of the equipment and/or specific work orders right to their mobile device and interact with it. But as we look and start to look forward into the future, there's more and more technology advances to the point where you can see the gentleman in the picture there with the two hands on his device. That's getting to a point where the use of hands, while still interacting with technology, becomes a big plus in different styles of environments. If you start thinking about, workers who have thick gloves on, or might go into environments that aren't the cleanest or smallest or cleanliest of places, the device then becomes another tool that they have to interact with, as opposed to just using your voice to communicate. So, we're a big proponent of mobile technology, but this technology is advancing as we move forward here. So just a quick slide on some of the justification for mobility. Kind of some of the reasons I just spoke of. It makes a lot of sense enabling the mobile technician with mobile technology, right? But you can start to see when you factor in paper work orders and technicians having to go back to a computer station to enter in information. There's a lot of advantages to empowering technicians with mobile technology. And this is just a simple slide with some data from McKinsey showing some of the possible advantages. If you just save, a few minutes of time per technician per work order, that savings can really compound itself. So getting into now the advantages of the hands-free technology specifically. You can see in the picture the worker there has the ability to do see what I see type of use cases. So imagine being out in the field and being able to remotely dial back to your supervisor or a peer or something like that, just to get some advice on how to handle a certain situation, to where they can see what you're seeing. You can use both of your hands and have a collaborative session that way. And the use cases for this are quite vast, right? Think about, you can do line inspections, wiring and cabling, all of the things that you might have an expert in a particular field, like an expert on boilers. And if that person isn't physically there on site, you can still collaborate with that person through the use of standard technology, like things like Microsoft Teams, things like Zoom, that your organization may already have and be using and utilizing. You can take advantage of those types of things and have collaboration sessions, all while making your technicians still capable of using their hands. The other use case would be to actually interact with some of your EAM systems. So the same types of use cases that I mentioned before with the use of a handheld device, you can still do those similar types of use cases all through voice active technology. So things like interacting with work orders, performing inspections, interacting with inventory and doing storeroom type transactions. All of those would be standard use cases for mobile devices in an EAM system that can be leveraged here through voice interaction, and again, having a hands-free situation.
Hey, Alex, is now a good time to launch a poll for everybody?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and launch this question. You guys will be able to select one of two answers. Yes, we're just curious, how many of you are currently using a CMMS like Maximo, whether it is Maximo or a different CMMS? We're interested to know. So I'm just going to give a few more seconds to give everyone a chance to answer this poll. You can say that you are or that you are not. We're just very curious to know. All right, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to close it now. So it looks about 50-50 that people are or that people are not.
All right, great. Thanks, Anna. Okay, so again, what can we do with a device like the one the gentleman is wearing on his head? And to be specific, what we're talking about today is a device made by a company called RealWear. They make an industrial head-mounted tablet, and we'll be able to sort of walk through, demonstrate the capabilities of this device. But these devices today, there are others out there on the market, are more and more being geared and tailored to industry, right? Rough, loud environments. There's some really interesting videos out there on the marketplace that show just how well some of these devices work in noisy environments. So taking a look at the RealWear device specifically, you've got hands-free interaction with both apps like Teams, Zoom, etc., as well as apps that interact with EAM systems such as Maximo. So from A3J Group's perspective, when we saw what was capable out there as technology leaders and envelope pushers, we decided to develop some Maximo specific applications for the RealWear HMT device. We wanted our apps to be fast, easily accessible, and able to interact both from a device, a tablet or a phone, and from voice activated technologies such as RealWear. And when you look at some of these types of apps that I've listed here, if I can have dinner at my door in an hour through the use of the Uber Eats app, I should be able to go to the store, download an app, and start completing work on my device in a similar fashion. It shouldn't be a large project, long time to value type of situation. There may be needs for different requirements for different processes, etc. But from the basics, we shouldn't have to have a big, long time to value when talking about mobile for a mobile technician. So we went off and developed a number of different apps that you see here, and we'll actually demonstrate some of these apps, but the basics are we're looking at use cases around work order execution, and we're looking at things like inspections, capturing round information. We're looking at inventory processes such as counting, issuing, or receiving, as well as some specialty processes like recording new work requests in a system like Maximo. So some basic use cases here. We've got usage going on. We've got an industrial automotive company using these applications to capture oil level readings on a daily basis throughout their factories. We've got some airports using the application to report work and to complete work being done out in the facility. And when you're looking at other manufacturers, we've got a large paper mill using these applications to do inventory auditing and counting for storerooms throughout North America, really. So lots of cool and interesting use cases here for these applications. So with that, I'm going to stop the presentation and just move into more of a demonstration capability. So what I'll do is just pause the screen share. I've got a device here on my head made by RealWear. It's the RealWear HMT1. You can see here that it's actually got a camera on it, and that camera allows the device to take pictures that can be uploaded to your EAM system, shared through apps like Microsoft Teams or Zoom, as well as video recording of procedures and all sorts of neat stuff. Also on board the device here, you've got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity. So the device can connect wirelessly to other devices and or corporate networks, etc. Up front here is the little boom arm that extends in front of the user's eye. The neat part about it is you can actually just move it away. For example, if I didn't want it hanging out in front of my face, I can just pull it down or push it up such that it no longer impedes my viewpoint. But if I do want to pull it in and actually start viewing some technology, really as easy as just pulling it in front of my eye, adjusting, and now I can see the little screen there. On this side, it's got this is the battery here. The battery is intended to last the full 8-hour shift, but is swappable as well. So you can pull the battery out of this little compartment here, swap in a new one for the next shift while the other one goes back and charges. I've got the device clipped to a headband here, but realistically, the ideal clip would be into the hard hat, as most technicians are wearing hard hats these days, or some sort of cap. There are little clips on the side here that can clip directly into the hat, so that it's just one unit that they put onto their head and can work just seamlessly with this device. Okay, So what I'm going to do now is re-enable my screen share. And what you should be seeing here is view into what I am seeing here in my viewfinder. So this is actually a live instance. If I say my programs, you can see the device picks up my commands as I see them here on the screen. If I move my head left to right, I can get different viewpoints into the various apps that are available here. And mute microphone. What I'm going to say is I might say something as I'm going through the demo that actually triggers some voice commands, so bear with me if we're walking through this and it happens to jump to an area that it was unintended. The device capabilities here are quite good at filtering conversation from command. So actually sometimes I might try and say a command, but if I say it in more of a conversational manner, it won't pick it up, but it's actually quite good at that. The other thing that's really neat about the device is it can do the voice translation right on board. So it's not like, for example, Siri from Apple might or does go out to a service from Apple and come back. So if you lack internet connection, you lack the ability to interact with Siri. However, this device will do all that translation on board. So even if you're in a bad spot connectivity wise, you should still be able to interact with the device from a command perspective. Okay, so the first use case that I want to demonstrate is we're going to go ahead and do a Microsoft Teams call so I can show some of the see what I see type of capabilities. So bear with me as I go through and demonstrate this. Okay, I'm going to come over here and in the upper right there I have an app called Teams. So all I really need to do is say Teams, and it'll launch the Microsoft Teams app. I'm going to call Hunter Jones here, so I will say select item 2, and let's make a Teams call. Hey Hunter, how's it going?
Hey, Alex, what's happening?
Not too much. Here in my office, and I'm having a problem with my Rubik's Cube here. Can you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah, but I don't know if I have my Rubik's Cube manual with me right now.
That's all right. We'll try and get through it together. I think from what I can see here, a couple little twists will get me in the right direction. Do you have any suggestions for me?
You know what? I would go maybe left with the yellow.
Okay, let's try that. Ooh, that looks promising. All right, there we go. We got it solved. So you guys could probably imagine many different use cases here with the ability for me to have a call with Hunter, have him see what I'm seeing, and help me solve a particular issue. So thanks, Hunter. Any suggestions or comments for the folks out there?
Yeah, check out the Navigator. It's the version 2 of the HMT1, and it's technology forward from Android 11 on. It's got a really cool camera that picks up in dark light. So like even if you have tags that might not be able to normally be picked up by a camera, the Navigator's got you covered there. You got some really cool features. You should check it out on realwear.com/navigator, or you can check it out on our site as well.
Cool. Thanks, Hunter. Okay, terminate call. So just a real simple use case there, dismiss, of how we can utilize Microsoft Teams. Like I said, there are also out-of-the-box apps for Zoom, as well as a handful of other see what I see type applications available on RealWear devices. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate home, and let's dive into the next use case. So the next use case is going to be interacting with enterprise asset management systems such as Maximo. If I were to say my programs, you can see I've got a few apps from A3J Group listed here. The first one I'm going to dive into is called MX Meter. MX Meter. You can see there where it's maybe deciphering conversation from command, and I've got to get better at making sure I pause before I say the command that I want to say. So again, I'm just here barking commands. When I do that, especially in these types of apps, I'm really just saying what I see. So for example, I've got my Maximo URL username and password listed here. If I want to enter that password, I can say, there you go, enter password, right? ABC mode, letter MXMOB, letter BIS.
Hey, Alex, I think we might have lost your audio. Looks like your video and audio might have frozen up a little bit. We're just going to give him a minute or two to hop back on. So everyone just be patient. These things happen, as you all know, in live events. So
Oh no.
hey, Alex, I can see you now and I can hear you.
Okay, sorry. Sounds like
No worries.
we lost connection there. So let me back up and say go back. So I'm not sure exactly where I cut off, but this MX Meter app allows us to pull up an asset record or many asset records and record meter readings against that. These readings could be anywhere from anything from things like temperature, vibration, flow, run hours, you name it. Even like pass-fail type of inspections can be recorded in here. And so this data is important because it's going to help drive things like condition-based maintenance, right? So if your maintenance events are triggered off of things like, high temperature, low flow, or even run hours of equipment, capturing that data at the point of where the equipment is, the ability to do things like establish more of a condition-based program as opposed to a calendar-based program. So first thing I can do here is let's say I want to look up a particular asset, and I'm going to do that by scanning a barcode. So I'll say scan barcode. And that'll pull up the camera on the device. Now I can point the camera at a barcode or QR code, and in doing so, it pulls me directly to that piece of equipment. So I've got a pump here. This pump has a couple different meters on it. If I scroll down, it looks like I've got both the run hours and an outlet pressure meter available here. Scroll down. So let's go ahead and say create meter 2. And what this will do is it'll show me the asset information and some information about the outlet pressure meter tied to the pump. If I scroll down, I can see that there's a spot for me to enter reading. Enter reading. So let's go ahead and say we're going to enter a reading of 5000. Navigate back. And so this will be a reading of 5,000 PSI. And let's say create meter reading. And scroll down. Scroll down. Okay. So what we've got here is you can see the 5,000 PSI reading was taken right now by Mike Wilson, the inspector, and was sent off to Maximo. So this can do a few different things for us. If that reading is outside of the tolerance band, it could generate a work order or simply be used for analytics later on down the line. Scroll bottom. So the other things we can do here would be to say something like trend meter 2. Trend meter 2. Scroll down. Scroll down. Scroll down. Scroll bottom. All right. So what you can see here is we've got the ability to do some things around trending the values that are coming through here. Scroll bottom. All right, there we go. So you can see some of the readings here, and some of these readings you can see a little spike here as well as a drop. Excuse me. Scroll bottom. And some spikes or drops in the PSI rating here. I've got the ability here to filter life, year, etc. To where I can switch the viewpoints. So pretty neat. If I go back, it'll take me back to the meters associated with this pump, and I can move to the next meter or go ahead and even move to the next asset. So I can say, let's say I say previous record. This can take me into the next pump with its own run hours and outlet pressure meters. So pretty cool stuff. Just the ability to walk up to a piece of equipment and see some of the historical readings as well as take new readings, all just by using voice commands here. So let's go ahead and say navigate home and my programs, and let's go ahead and launch that MX Work app. MX Work. Okay, so what we're seeing here is a list of work orders. And again, we have the ability to scan for a particular barcode or filter the list as we see fit. But ultimately, I can get a list of work downloaded to my headset here and interact with that as I'm going about my day. So let's go ahead and say view record 1. And this will take me into a specific work order. You can see the asset is that pump that we were just looking at, as well as the location, what the status is, and maybe some other pertinent information. If I say view tasks, I can look at specific tasks, scroll down. So these are the different steps that I need to take on this work order in order to fully complete it. So scroll up. I can view work logs, which would show any sort of notes or anything like that, as well as view attachments. Scroll down. You can see I've got a few different different attachments here. If I say open document 2, I can actually look at attachment right on here. It looks like a picture of a laptop or something like that. Navigate back. But imagine that being some sort of like schematic or picture of the problem, possibly things of that nature. Scroll up. So again, we have the ability here to not only view information about the work order, but if I say menu button and let's say labor time, looks like the computer is just a bit behind my view screen here, so I'll slow down a little bit. Let's say enter regular hours and number 2. Again, just giving it a second to catch up. Navigate back and let's say add labor to work order. So all I did there was just enter 2 hours of time against this work order, and again, really very easy to interact with the work order, and the delay again is simply from casting what I'm seeing here on the screen over to my computer, so that you guys can actually see what I'm seeing. So hopefully this has been informative. We've got we've been at it for about 40 minutes here, which is right in the middle of the time that we had allocated. We've got a lot more information available online, both about the RealWear device and its capabilities, and A3J Group and what we've done to be able to empower and really get the most out of the hardware that's available here. We've seen a little see what I see use case where Hunter and I solved a Rubik's Cube in 3 short steps, as well as interacted with work orders and meter readings coming out of our EAM system, which is Maximo. So with that, I think I'll turn it back over to Anna, and maybe we can tackle a few questions.
Hey, yeah, I'm going to launch one more poll. So this poll question is going to ask, how many of you are looking at augmented reality solutions currently or to be put to use within the next 5 years? I will give you a few minutes to answer that, or I'm sorry, a few seconds, not a few minutes. Yeah, we're just curious to see if this is something that's on the table and within your budget now and or in the near future. All right, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to close it. Yeah, and just like the last poll, this one was kind of split 50-50. It looks like half who answered are and half who answered are not. So yeah, so following that poll, I will go ahead and ask, we do have one question. So this question, this reader or this viewer asked, how can these devices be used in more than just emergency situations where the maintenance tech, their hands are busy trying to fix the asset and they can't exactly handle a phone or a tablet and they need this AR capability. That's understandable, but how can it be used beyond emergency situations, putting out fires? All right, Alex, I'm sorry, it looks like your audio has cut out again. Let's see. If you want, you can email that your answer to me, and I can include that in the follow-up email so people can see. I think that's a really interesting point, and something people would love to know. But yeah, so that was all we had for today. Thank you so much, Alex. I'm sorry that we've had these issues with Wi-Fi and with GoToWebinar, but I really appreciate you being on today. Thank you for walking us through exactly how this really interesting technology works with the Rubik's Cube example. That was great. And just thank you so much for your time. Thank you to everyone who attended. You can be on the lookout for a follow-up email within the next 24 hours with a link to this recording. And just be on the lookout again for another exciting webinar we have coming up in May. So awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alex. All right. All right. Well, thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time. Thank you.